Colfax, July 10th, 2024, City Council meeting is now in session. We begin with the pledge.
Yes, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. City Clerk, could I have a roll call?
Councilmember Burris. Here. Councilmember Hilberg.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Loman.
Here.
Councilmember McCauley. Here. Mayor Douglas.
Present. Next, item 2D, approval of the agenda order. Do I hear a motion to?
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Okay. Next, 2E, statement of conflict of interest. Is there any change of the council members in a conflict of interest? Okay. Let's see. Consent calendar. What's next?
Consent calendar.
Consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
Agency response.
Oh, boy, that was fast. Agency report. Placer County Sheriff.
Good evening, Sergeant Kevin Griffiths, Placer County Sheriff's Office, your station commander here in Colfax. It's been a long day, long week. I've been up at the Royal Fire for most of this week. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning to get up there, and I was able to break off this afternoon to get down here and give a report. I will tell you, and I'm sure Seabird is going to go over the fire, but the guys are crushing it up there right now. Absolutely crushing it with the U.S. Forest Service, CAL FIRE, and all the agencies that have come in to help. So I watched it. I witnessed our guys here out of Station 30 up there putting in the work and doing some great work. So very proud of those guys up there. Going back to last week and the 3rd of July, in my eyes, as the sergeant here at the sheriff's office, it was a success. Couple of minor instances that we were able to deal with right away and take care of. The rest of it is stuff that tends to happen every year. We get a congested town. You come to the 3rd of July, don't expect to leave for about an hour after it's over. That's about how long it takes to try to get everybody out of town. But otherwise, for the heat, it was a good event. It was a good event for this community. I think it was much bigger than it was last year from my tallies. I'm sure the numbers aren't out, but we were very happy. We had 4 deputies on foot, plus myself. I had 3 deputies on bikes, plus a sergeant with them. I had a lieutenant, a dispatcher, an IT guy, and a person just taking care of our MCV from the sheriff's office. And then I had 5 probation officers out there with us, making sure that this town was safe during that event. And it went very smooth in our eyes. Other than that, I know that last 2 weeks ago, we had the drowning there at Rawlins Lake that is being investigated by the Nevada County Sheriff's Office for the accident on the PCW or the PWC. Very happy that they were able to find the subject who went down. He was in 177 feet of water. It took a specialized side scan sonar that gets down to that depth to be able to find him. And then we had to actually call in a ROV robot that can go down to that depth to get him up and back out of our lake. So tragic event, had a lot of help from the community to take care of that in the initial phases. Otherwise, it would have been much, much worse. Is there any questions that I can answer for anybody before I step down?
No. Yes,
Okay, I'm going to be leaving here very shortly because I need to go home, get some sleep, and go back at it again tomorrow. But Deputy Boyle will be here for a little while in case anybody has any questions. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Do we have a representative from the CHP?
He is not here tonight.
Okay. We do have a representative from CAL FIRE.
Good evening, Quincy Brown filling in for Chief Counts. Can't be here. He's currently on the Royal Fire, and that fire is sitting at 215 acres and 15% contained right now. Everything out there is looking really well, as the update that Kevin gave. As of the 3rd of July, we thought we had a good event. We had 4 medical aids that were possibly due to the heat and things of that nature. And then we also had a small fire, 50 by 50, that was kind of in the grass behind the Hanson Brothers yard that was taken care of very quickly. The delay on that was because of the fireworks and where they were at, and then the difficulty in access back there due to a gate. So once we got in there, it went really well and was quick. Other than that, the event went great on our end and no further issues with that. We did have multiple incidents this week. We had a rescue on Stevens Trail, and then we've also had a couple of brake fires along the highway. End report. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, representatives of the nonprofit. Any nonprofit? Chamber of Commerce?
Hi, good evening. Amanda Palmquist with the Colfax Area Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to say that we are all set. We have about 18 vendors for the Big Boy event on Sunday. We're very excited. It's scheduled to go from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. with the live music starting at 10. And we're excited to see everybody out and see who's going to come from towns around. Are there any questions?
Have you heard anything about a schedule delay or anything?
No, not yet. We had a meeting with the city and with CHP and the sheriff's office, and they said that if they're early, then they're gonna stay through 11:30. And if they're late, then we still get the 15 minutes
Okay.
regardless.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Item 5, presentation. Recognition of local heroes. Ron, would you like to take over?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. On June 24th, there was a jet skiing accident on Rollins Lake involving 3 people. 2 lives were saved, and tonight we're going to recognize those who selflessly performed the rescue, saving lives. So I think you passed out the proclamations. If we could have the rescuer stand up and come up to the podium, and then each council member will read individual proclamations for the 4 people who were involved. So.
All right. Thank you, Ron. First, I'd like to offer my condolences to Shahim
Hashem Rosby.
Razvi, his family for their loss. And definitely want to recognize you guys for your heroic actions. I'd like to start out with Sammy. The city would like to proclaim that whereas on June 24th, 2024, while paddleboarding on Rollins Lake, Samantha Ware heard and responded to cries for help. And whereas upon reaching the scene, Samantha found 2 women, a mother and daughter, in the water struggling to stay afloat. The mother was holding her daughter's head above water, screaming to save her daughter first. Samantha managed to pull both women out of the water onto her paddleboard. And whereas Samantha was able to keep both women safe while waiting for CAL FIRE and Placer County Sheriff's Office to arrive at scene. Now, therefore, the City of Colfax Council do formally recognize Samantha Ware for her selfless act of bravery, rescuing a mother and daughter of a jet ski accident. Furthermore, I call upon all residents to join me in expressing our heartfelt gratitude for Samantha Ware's selfless act of bravery.
Thank you.
I also have the privilege of reading one of these, and just huge thanks for what you did, because not everyone does it. Many just watch, and you guys, thanks for stepping forward and saving a couple lives. Whereas June 24th, 2024, while paddleboarding on Rollins Lake, Lisa Willihan heard and responded to cries for help. And whereas upon reaching the scene, Lisa found 2 women, mother and daughter, in the water struggling to stay afloat. While Lisa's paddleboarding partner, Samantha Ware, pulled the mother and daughter onto her paddleboard, Lisa called emergency services and Sierra Pontoons to assist with the rescue. Whereas Lisa stayed with Samantha to ensure the safety of the 2 women pulled from the water. Now, therefore, the City of Colfax City Council do formally recognize Lisa Willihan for her selfless act of bravery in rescuing a mother and daughter from a jet ski accident. Furthermore, I call upon all residents to join me in expressing our heartfelt gratitude for Lisa Willihan's selfless act of bravery.
Thank you so very
You're
much.
welcome.
Yeah.
We can sit. Oh, of course.
Trust to open it.
Forever sisters now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Unfortunately, Leah Kilby is not here, but I still get the privilege of reading her proclamation. It says, whereas on June 24th of 2024, Senior Park Ranger Leah Killowy received a call to assist with the rescue of jet ski accident victims. And whereas upon reaching the scene, Leah found that two women, a mother and daughter, had been pulled from the water by local paddle boarders, Samantha Ware and Lisa Willihan, but were in need of help. Whereas Leah jumped into the water in uniform, swam to the pontoon boat location, ready to boat, assisted emergency services in loading rescue equipment, and boated to the accident location to assist with the rescue. Now therefore, the city of Colfax City Council do formally recognize Leah Killowy for her selfless acts of bravery in rescuing a mother and daughter from a jet ski accident. Furthermore, I call upon all residents to join me in expressing our heartfelt gratitude for Leah Killowy for her selfless act of bravery. And we do have one more. This one's for Jason Douglas. Whereas on June 24th, 2024, Jason Douglas received a call from Sierra Pontoons asking if he could assist Leah Kaliwi, Senior Park Ranger, with an emergency rescue at Rollins Lake. And whereas upon reaching the scene, Jason found that two women, a mother and daughter, had been pulled from the water by local paddleboarders, Samantha and Lisa, that were in need of help. Whereas Jason jumped into the water in street clothes, swam to the pontoon boat location, readied the boat, assisted emergency services, loading rescue equipment, and boated to the accident location to assist with the rescue. Now therefore, the city of Colfax City Council do formally recognize Jason Douglas for his selfless act of bravery, rescuing a mother and daughter from a jet ski accident. Furthermore, I call upon all residents to join me in expressing our heartfelt gratitude for Jason Douglas for his selfless act of bravery.
Okay, thank you. Item 6, public hearing. There is no public hearing, so item 7, public comment. This is a time for any citizen to speak on any subject that's not on the agenda.
Thank you, City Council, for the success that we had in supporting us for the 3rd of July celebration. We couldn't have done it without your support. City staff, thank you for all the behind the scenes things that you folks did. Sheriff, CAL FIRE, CHP, you all did a fantastic job. Polling all the attendees, they couldn't believe how smooth everything was. Nobody went away in invisible handcuffs, which was a nice change. What we find, there have been a lot of comments on Facebook that were positive. One of them was, hadn't seen that number of attendees in decades. And being that I've been here since '87 and hadn't had a drink since 2000, it was kind of interesting to watch the whole thing. It was amazing that that much liquor was going around everywhere. And it went real well with that many people. Strangely enough, the next day, my wife and I were at In-N-Out Burger in Auburn, and the couple behind us, a family of 4, my wife said, I think they're talking about the 3rd of July. And sure enough, I polled them, and they were from Nevada City, and they loved the event. They said it was like an old time 4th of July, and they really liked all the different vendors and what was going on and what have you. So that was very nice to hear. Unsolicited. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better testimony, really. But the main thing I want to, in everything in business, there's always the 90-10 rule. 90% of people are happy, 10% complain and are unhappy for whatever reason. You know, and you just have to accept that as a number. It just is facts of life. But Lisa's company and with my help, we were able to make this thing work in 90 days or less. And I have a good friend who his son does 30 of these events a year. And he said it takes every bit of a year to pull it off. And he does it up in Lake Tahoe and all around Vegas and what have you. So I figured that was a pretty good source for feedback. And in spite of all the disinformation that was spread, things like the price of the booths were doubled, totally erroneous. It was exactly the same price as last year, no different at all. It won't be attended very well because it's a Wednesday. Couldn't prove that by walking out of your business and trying to find me. Couldn't find me. There's so many people everywhere. And other misleading comments like that. But overall, I would say with that short amount of time, it was a success. It really was. But I have to say a lot of that was attributed to professional marketing. I'm a believer in that. Every company I've ever worked for, whenever we've done outstanding marketing, it's not the people that changed, it's the image that changed. And I've been beating that drum about Colfax for years. And so I think I finally proved the point, and I did it in this fashion to slowly keep putting a banner here and a banner here. So it kept being fresh in people's minds that this was happening, and then putting them in storefronts and what have you. It worked out really well. And then I got to be a celebrity on TV. That was even more weird. The Colfax fireworks, in my wife's and mine opinion, we happened to be in Auburn the night of their fireworks. And their fireworks were longer, but our content in our time frame was better because they fired off stuff that went poof, poof. And my wife said, I've never ever been bored watching fireworks before. And it was, but the endings were the same. So, we even did that better. So, and the one thing I've heard, and I don't know if CAL FIRE can substantiate it, but I've heard that the fire that started was done by a couple of teenagers with illegal fireworks. That they were doing something they shouldn't have been doing, which is not a real surprise, but that's what I've heard. Yeah. Not that I never did anything crazy when I was that age either. So, and as far as nonprofit gifting goes, I have 3 checks that I want to give out at the next meeting. I want representatives from those nonprofits to be here so that we can give a formal presentation. That would be Cats Animal Rescue and Colfax Garden Club and Colfax Lions VFW Post 2003. So we can have them here next meeting. We'll love to make the presentation and immortalize yourselves in history with pictures. And all I know is that I've never been involved in doing an event like this. I've always been a vendor. I learned how much work it is. But I think if we have a full year, we can blow this one away. So anyway, thank you very much.
Any other public comment?
So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Caroline Glenn Presson from the Wrecking Crew Bakery right here in town. And I got to witness firsthand a lot of the going-ons that happened putting this 4th of July thing together and the short amount of time that they had to do it. And I was pretty darn impressed. I think they did an amazing job putting together a fantastic day for this small town in such a short amount of time. And for the 33 years that I've been living in this town, I'll have to say it's been the best event I've seen in years here. the amount of people that showed up were fantastic. Just was like when I first moved here in the early 90s. Streets were flooded with people. We didn't shut our doors down until 8:30. We shut them down at 6 to watch the parade because my son was in it and Sean, and which is great small town, love it, you know. We opened back up after the parade and still people filtering in until almost 9 o'clock when we finally said enough is enough, we're going home. I think they did a great job. I'd like to see them come back next year. I think Colfax owes them a great thanks for putting on such an amazing thing. Harry's poster, the banners, everything everywhere. Driving to work, 5 o'clock, there's the banner. Oh, there's a new banner. It was great. It was great to see the town pull together and put off a great show for the day. And the fireworks are fireworks. You get a little fire here or there. I think I have plenty of faith in our fire department and our patrol officers. They did a great job. I think that they were on top of it. That's what they're there for. We expect things like that to happen. If not, they don't happen, we're lucky. They do happen. Whoever's fault it is. Not gonna say I don't hear them going off down, you know, by my house at the end of the evening. People do those things, so I think it was great, and I think we owe them a chance next year to put on have a year worth of getting this together. I think they'll do even more amazing job. So just wanted to throw that out there, give Harry kudos and give Lisa kudos, Bryant kudos, and everybody they brought up to help them, all the volunteers, the sheriff's department, CAL FIRE, everybody that was there, everybody that put their time in did an excellent job. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
It's going to take me 5 minutes to give kudos to all the people I want to give kudos to. So I might need another 5 minutes after that, you know. But I want to start off with Harry right here. I mean, wow, what a patriot. I mean, he pulled something off that was miraculous. Coming from someone who's thrown events, big events, and been part of huge gatherings. What he did, you guys, I don't know, you'd have to really be in that field to really appreciate it. 90 days, what takes a year, but he did it really well. And thank you for that. And I'm really proud of. And, you know, what is Colfax known for? You know, what do we got? Why go to Colfax? For the best 3rd of July celebration there is around. That's what, you know, that's one thing. And he was a big part of that. Want to give Colfax's finest right here, Mr. Griffith. He really held it down. And I love the women and men in law enforcement. And I challenge anyone to film the deterrent that our men and women in law enforcement do. And so many people see a little video of something bad, and that happens, everyone knows. But so much good happens just because they're around, and so much bad doesn't happen just because they're around, and they don't get enough appreciation for that. And so I just want to thank them for everything they do as well, too. Takes me a minute, but I weigh in heavy subjects and heavy issues with death rights and veterans' death rights, and being the token native in an area means that I keep the native ancestral spirits happy in a sense. I do things, I do prayers, I pray for our government, I pray for our country. And I'm an avid patriot and proud to say I'm American, and proud to say I love America and I love my government because I can say I love my local government. And it really stands tall in a lot of areas. And believe it or not, I get a lot of guff because of it from a lot of different areas. So I take that on because I do break a lot of stereotypes. But if you ever want to meet me or stop and say hello, I've seen some of you guys around. There's been some of you around I've seen. But I'm the person in the veterans protest bus, the big blue veterans protest bus that's been right here in the middle of town. And I belong on a veteran cemetery. My wife and I are custodians of a veteran cemetery, but we're going through some things right now. But we're also embracing Colfax in a way that we haven't ever before. And it's a lovely thing. And being able to support a community in the future in a way and fall in love with a community in a way that no one ever has because of the beautiful little isolation that happens in a little sovereign, intentional community. But it's good to be here. I have probably 1,000 questions I can answer for people. Why I'm here, what I'm doing. I'm all approachable. And I'm definitely on the side of law enforcement and want to do things right and ethical. It's not Breaking Bad over there. But I encourage you guys to listen to Mr. Larry Hilberg with my closing statements because in a lot of divine prayer and a lot of divine essence, I really feel like he is someone that really cares. And when it comes to public service, it's a contest about who cares. It's not about who holds the biggest office, you know, because it's we the people and it's we the people and it's we the people, you know. So I like to compete with who has the biggest case of schizophrenia of we the people. Who does, you know, who loves America, you know. So if you're wondering who I am and what I am, I'm a patriot and glad to be in here in Colfax. And I have some big plans to make Colfax great by recognizing a 40-year-old cemetery that just hippies don't necessarily document their paperwork necessarily. So I did put some public documents here if you want to have them as record or not. I was going to read them off. Did you?
If you wouldn't mind providing them for our clerk to include in the minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
And then maybe provide your name as well, just so that we can get it all correct.
Yeah. And God bless America and God bless Colfax.
Okay. Any other public comment? If that's the end of public comment, we move on to item 8, council business. We begin with committee reports by the various council members. Sean, would you like to start?
Sorry. I just had one thing to report tonight. Placer Sierra Fire Safe Council has received a grant to place 15 prototype fire sensors in the Colfax Weimar Alta area. They look like really interesting sensors. They're able to detect sparks within the radius of their vision, and also they have AI sensors on there, AI controlled sensors on them that can distinguish between smoke types and pick up changes in the air and pick up really small amounts of smoke. So they should give us a big jump on wildfire detection. I'm going to be working with Cal Fire and Placer Hills Fire to determine areas that'll be good to place them on private property. And hopefully we'll be getting those deployed in the next few months. And, we'll be running a test. Also, just across the river, the neighboring Fire Safe Council in Nevada County on the Red Dog Low Hill area also got a grant for this, so we'll be able to compare and work together on this. This grant was given to us by the Department of Homeland Security. It's a good opportunity. And that's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Nothing to report this meeting. Carolyn.
I actually didn't have any formal meetings on my agenda for the last 2 weeks, lots of little ones, but I did get to go with SACOG, the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, on a very in-depth tour of Beale Air Force Base, which I had not been out there in many, many years. So it was quite interesting. And a lot of people were concerned that they were going to close Beale because the U-2 is slated for retirement the middle of next year. But they are putting lots of money into rebuilding some of the buildings and stuff, so they are not going to close Beal after putting millions of dollars into it. So there's some new stuff coming, even though they're gonna retire the YouTube. So.
All kinds of things.
And Infinity.
Let's see here. I don't have a whole lot to report tonight. I did want to say that I think as a future agenda item, I want to thank Carolyn for stepping up so severely much as I have had to step away for work. I've been dispatched to the EOC at work a lot recently, and that takes me away from council for stuff that benefits our community in a very different way. But on that note, because of all of the work that Carolyn has been doing, I don't think it's appropriate for her to be an alternate on SACOG anymore. I think we really need to make that switch. She needs to be the official director on that board. So I'm hoping at the next council meeting, we can go ahead and bring up our board assignments so we can make that official. I've been meaning to do that for a while, and I apologize we haven't done that sooner. And that's all I have.
Not gonna change what I've been doing here.
Sorry, I've already saddled you with the work.
Well, so here's where it gets ugly, because then I'm gonna say, in my brain, it makes sense that whoever does SACOG does PCTBTA, because they go, in my mind, they go together, so I figured that's part of the conversation to have.
We can definitely have that conversation. It's a very significant amount of work, so I'm totally open to. It's made sense historically, and if that's something that you want to do, I'm totally open
Well,
to
I
it.
figure we'll discuss it some more and see what all's involved
Yeah.
and whether we do it now or wait till December, but to me, they go hand in hand.
They
So
do,
it makes
very
sense.
much so.
Okay, I had no official scheduled meetings, but I did spend a fair amount of time volunteering at the caboose and at the train depot, and I also made a short video of the event, our 3rd of July event, and it's on YouTube if anybody wants to see it that missed it. And at 2:00, the town looked like a ghost town, but within 2 or 3 hours, it was like 7,000 people just came out of the woodwork. So that was nice to see that kind of turnout. Let's see. Next, the operations update by our city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, we're fortunate enough to have Carl Moore, our city engineer, here with us, and he's going to go over the operations report and what's been going on with the streets. Carl?
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, as you are all aware, the CDBG project and the INI project have been paving all over the city. The CDBG project, the paving should be completed this week. Asphalt curbs, signing, striping, punch list walk to be completed over the next 2 weeks. The city notified today that we don't qualify for future CDBG project funding for roadway improvements. And that's due to our low to moderate income families dropping from the threshold of 51% to, I think it was 46%. And that's from the 2020 census. So since 2020, we've added Shadowwood and Sierra Oaks, and we'll be adding Village Oaks. So that's going to impact that number as well. Shady Glen will help reduce that impact, but we're going to have to be working with our grant writers to see how that's going to impact and what we can do. We did talk to them today about doing an income survey. And there's a grant for that. So it's a $25,000 to $30,000 process. And that's going to go around and evaluate the entire city. And then we're also going to evaluate pockets. And with those pockets, if we identify roadways that do encompass low to moderate income areas, then we might be eligible for grants to repave those streets and do the street improvements. So there is some good news to that. The unfortunate part is we were pushing hard for Canyon Way, and I had proposals for survey and geotech to go out there and do that. And they were going to be starting in the next week or two. And so that's pulled now. So let's see. On the wastewater treatment plant, the algae project's about 15%. That's going a little slow. We know the construction schedule, I think, goes out 2 years from when they started. And that's due to just acquiring all the material, and some stuff just has a long lead time. The wastewater treatment plant, the solar interconnection still scheduled for fall 2024. We've emailed PG&E today to try and figure out if that's still on schedule, and we have not heard back. For the sewer I&I project, it's about 90% complete. They still have some paving to complete, including Canyon Way, which everybody seems to be asking about, and other minor items. And then we'll have the punch list walk on that as well. And that may be complete over the next 2 to 3 weeks. The wastewater treatment plant and the courtyard metal buildings are complete. It's on a line item that we'll discuss later. And that's all I have for an update from last week or 2 weeks ago. Any questions?
I just want to say thanks. I know we've added a whole bunch more to your plate and you're working a lot of extra and doing a lot of extra stuff, and we've really followed on to you. So thank you so much for doing all the extra work you've been doing and taking care of the city. We really appreciate you.
Thanks. I love doing it. So
That was quite a blow you delivered.
the CDBG, yeah.
Yeah, really. I hope there's something we can do.
I think the income survey will help, and we'll just, overall, we can't do just everything. I think the South Auburn and Canyon, those are going to be things we're going to have to look at in other ways, because those aren't surrounded by low to moderate income. So there's no way to really squeeze that in. But all the smaller minor streets, we'll be able to get some more residential streets.
I think I'll retire to help my street.
I think with the state of the state right now too, we're going to be looking at a lot less funding coming in, and parameters for acceptance of grants being tightened a lot. So
yes, especially with the Shady Glen, that was a big hit.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just because I want to make sure that it's clarified for everybody's understanding, and you can correct me if I explain any of this. Basically, the CDBG grant, we received a lot of it based on the low income that Colfax qualified under. And like a lot of people are really familiar with, there's this challenge when it comes to receiving money from the state and feds, that as you start to do a little bit better, they say, here, we're going to take way more of that away from you. And that's what just happened. Our median income in the city has risen. And they said, great, you make an extra $100, we're going to take 200 away from you now. And that's kind of the situation that we found ourselves in. So we're going to have to find some more creative ways to try to still qualify. And that's why Carol says, find little pockets. Instead of looking at the whole city, we're just going to start looking at little tiny chunks and where we can still meet those income guidelines to receive those grants. So is that an easy explanation?
Pretty much.
Any other questions?
I don't know that.
You good, Ren?
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
On top of just to revisit the CDBG, once we do the income study, like Carl says, the pockets will most likely lead us to being able to fix road in smaller areas. And if we come to a point where we might not be able to do any road work, we also discuss applying for a grant for some money to work on the community center as well. So that's in a discussion. And
you can tell Colfax needs to make more money.
yeah.
That's the opposite of what
And poor enough to get the money to get.
Yeah. And the last item I'd like to add to that is the RFP closed for the city attorney tonight, and the ad hoc committees have the two proposals from obviously only the two applicants. They'll be going over there and grading them. And then once they decide whether we want to interview one or both, then we'll set that up for full council interviews, and you can decide upon your new city attorney. Thanks.
I wonder if I could just clarify something to make sure I understand what you said. I know along with the big CDBG grants, there were smaller $300,000 ones that, are they also income related or no?
Yeah, the CDBG is income related. So once we determine if there's, like I said, if there's pockets that are meet the criteria, then we can pave those. And if not, we'll look at the community center and maybe some other projects that qualify.
Okay. Next, item 9, council business, 9A, safe streets for all. And we have a presentation.
Yes, we are fortunate tonight to have Corey with Placer County Transportation Agency. He's here to discuss the Safe Streets for All SS4A grant. And their agencies offer to assist with the grant application and the management of the grant providing we're awarded. If you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself and then a grant, that'd be great.
Sure. Good evening, council members. Thanks for having me. As Ron said, my name is Corey Peterson. I'm a senior planner with the Placer County Transportation Planning Agency. So what we're going to be talking about is a proposal that our staff has come up with to assist the city in applying for a federal grant to do what's called a comprehensive safety action plan. This is specifically related to traffic safety. So think about, bicycle collisions, car collisions, pedestrian collisions, and then trying to address specific issues within Colfax and solve for them. I think one of the main benefits of doing one of these plans is that it also opens you up to more capital grants that you can do to implement traffic safety improvements across the city. Go ahead and click to the next. Thank you. So first, just a little bit about the program itself. The Safe Streets for All program is part of the bipartisan infrastructure law that came out of the federal government. So this is a federal grant program from the U.S. Department of Transportation. It does fund planning and capital projects. This project specifically would be planning only, but then again, as I said, it opens you up to also apply for capital grants in the future from the Safe Streets for All. Specifically about the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan, it really is it's a comprehensive analysis of traffic safety concerns that are specific to your community. So really there's a lot of data analysis that goes into, but also community outreach, meeting with stakeholders. We get, police and fire, the sheriff involved, schools, and really kind of have I guess for lack of a better word, a kumbaya about traffic safety and what can be done to help address some of the specific concerns within Colfax. And just to kind of outline some of the benefits to the city, as I said, this would make you eligible for other federal grants, but also probably I would say a larger grant would be the Highway Safety Improvement Program. This is through Caltrans. They do a call for projects every 2 years. They have some pots of funding that are not necessarily guarantees, but as long as you qualify, you pretty much get the money for specific types of improvements like pedestrian crossings and guardrail repair. So doing this plan would help make you eligible for those funds and also applying for larger projects like shoulder widening on rural roads. It also gives you a dedicated analysis of your traffic safety concerns, as well as kind of bringing together the community and stakeholders on this specific issue. Next slide. So as far as the grant applications specifically, we're going to be applying for a $100,000 grant. There's a 20% match required that would be funded through in-kind staff time, both from PCDPA and the city. And so we'll be working with Ron to kind of identify what that looks like. But we're expecting that we will be able to fund the match entirely with staff time, and there will be no cash required from the city. We will write the application and submit it, and then if awarded, I'll be personally handling the RFP and working closely with Ron to administer the grant, do the planning work, and try and do this plan to benefit the community. I will say that the last planning round for this grant, we were told by USDOT was undersubscribed. So there are no guarantees in the grant world, but it was undersubscribed last time. We feel pretty good this time. We'll see how it goes. Next slide. So for right now, the next steps, considering the MOU between us and the city, just to kind of formalize the arrangement, there's no funds being exchanged between us. So we thought an MOU would be appropriate. The grant is due on August 29th, and then we'll be expecting decisions in November. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Comments from the public? Questions from the public?
So folks at home can hear. They might have the same question as you.
The $100,000 is for the application.
The $100,000 is the request from USDOT.
Okay.
Yeah.
All I can say is two things. Thank God somebody's finally figured out we got a traffic problem here. Because, I mean, between Caltrans not painting anything on the floor and people out of town, mostly in Subarus or something about those people, they just go right through intersections like there's nothing there. And I don't know what the hell they're thinking, but in Caltrans, they are here and they don't do anything. I mean, except block parking places down at the end down there. And then they have a yard where they park vehicles and such over there, but they drive over all this empty stuff every damn day. So my point is this, I think it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. We just do the stuff and send them the bill. I mean, when you run a business, that's how you have to do it.
Any other comments from the public, whimsical or not?
I'll move approval on the resolution.
I'll
Do I hear a
second.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay, the second and last council business item is 9B. A request for contract payment amount over the agreed amount to Simpson and Simpson for the metal building.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Carl was talking about earlier, the metal buildings are up. Simpson's helped us put them up, but there was some confusion or some problems with the way the order came and the extra labor they had to do. Carl will come up and explain it a little better for us because he wrote all the notes for me.
I forgot to print that. So what you have?
Yeah. Just go on.
Okay, well, not my head. The metal building project, as most of you might be aware of, it's been around for 2 years, 2.5 years. It started off that we had it bid and it wasn't prevailing wage. A lot of struggle trying to figure out what to do. Didn't realize it wasn't prevailing wage until we tried to register them with the DIR. I have a list with all the dates with that information if council's interested in it. But bottom line is Simpson and Simpson came in. I asked them, if we rearrange this, are you willing to purchase the material from the non-prevailing wage supplier who does not do prevailing wage work, and you provide the prevailing wage work? And he agreed. So we got him a contract originally just for the foundation work and the grading work. Then after we found out about the prevailing wage issue, we asked him if he would do that, the prevailing wage to erect the buildings. He said yes. So we took the funding and moved it around and got him a contract. The company it's Central Valley Steel Structures, they provided the material, they dropped it all off and completely unmarked and just dumped it in a pile basically. So then the next day we had them come back, they separated it out, brought the other stuff to the wastewater treatment plant, and we thought we were golden. Simpson comes out about a week or two later, they start erecting at the Corp yard and all the pieces and Simpson and Simpson's built a few metal buildings. And all of the pieces weren't cut to fit. Every one that Simpson and Simpson's built were cut to fit with good plans. These didn't have good plans and they weren't cut to fit. So they had to sit out there and cut every piece to get it all to fit. So Steve did call me twice the first day or two, letting me know that this was going on and asking if there was anything that the city could do. And obviously we're not making that decision right then. They continued doing the work and they went and built both of the projects. And then they wrote the letter that we included in the staff report, giving some additional detail and requesting additional money. I do have pictures if council's interested in what the metal buildings look like. We didn't include it in the staff report, but I do have 2 sets of those if you're interested in looking at them.
I have a question. So it sounds like at some point in this process, there was a planning breakdown. Does that sound correct?
Lots.
If you had to say who was responsible primarily for this breakdown, I hate to put you on the spot, but before I support or completely denounce this, I'd like to have a pretty clear understanding from staff as to who they feel is responsible.
Well, the breakdown in the non-prevailing wage company, that was the previous public works director.
Okay,
And then for Simpson and Simpson, we've discussed that should they have stopped work at that point
Mhm.
and notified the city and said, this isn't what we bid on. They did notify me that there was an issue. They could have stopped work. They could have contacted Central Valley and said, you need to provide cut.
right.
Since they did purchase a material, they could have returned it and just canceled the contract.
Gotcha. So it sounds like the original sourcing of this material came from the city though.
Yes.
Okay. But I think that's helpful context because normally when we put something out to bid, for example, we wouldn't source the materials. We wouldn't be involved at that level. So it does sound like there were some complications here that are outside of the normal protocol.
Right, this is stuff that Carl and I have, it was here when we got here, so.
Yeah, no, and I don't mean this to blame staff, but I mean this to just kind of air everything out a little bit for the public, because normally if I was to hear that we put something out to bid and after everything was said and done, they came back wanting this much more money, I would immediately have a reaction of absolutely not. Especially with the breakdown of everything that's happened. But given the context of what we know with our staffing problems before we had our current staff, I'm willing to change my tune significantly. So I appreciate that additional context.
And just to correct Ron, this started after Martin started a month before I did.
Yeah.
And this started under them, but I wasn't involved at all under them being Martin and Wes. And once Martin left the city, then Wes left the city. Then it kind of got dropped on Shanna, and then it was like, Carl, can you help me with this? And then I kind of took over.
Yeah.
And together we've figured out all this.
And mistakes happen. That's the other thing too. I don't want this to be taken to mean that there's some condemnation of any particular individual. Mistakes happen. Things happen. This is normal, but it all comes down to who should be liable for the fact that it happened. And at the end of the day, it sounds like the city should be liable for what happened here. Is my opinion.
Just to get back at the beginnings of this, it sounds like that we put a project out for bid that ought to have been a prevailing wage project, and we accepted and approved the bid that wasn't.
Correct.
And then later on, you guys discovered that, oh, this isn't a prevailing wage company.
Correct.
So the initial mistake pretty clearly was by the city. Seems like before your time,
It was during my time, but yeah, that mistake happened while I was here, but I wasn't part of that project.
But how it snowballed and stuff really got out of hand.
Simpson and Simpson has done other projects for us and
Many.
they do good work, right?
Yes. And we also we paid $5,500 down and a couple $3,000 for plans and calcs, which at the beginning you'd think, why don't we just cancel this? And the city would have lost $8,000 or so. So that's what we thought anyways. And after we had Simpson grade the pads and do the concrete foundation for the courtyard, I contacted Central Valley and Viking, and they said, "Oh, we'll give you your deposit back." So we would have lost only $3,000 for the plans. So, but it was that was the assumption. That's normally how deposits work.
And Simpson and Simpson, they're not asking for the entire overrun, or they're asking for part of it, right?
They're asking for the city to help. So
Yeah.
if the city's willing.
The overrun was larger than what they're asking for.
Yeah, the overrun was 25.8 and they're asking for 15.2.
Okay.
I think that's very reasonable in this situation. More than reasonable, and we appreciate their ongoing work with us. And ideally, in the perfect world, change orders would happen a lot cleaner, but you learn from other people's mistakes, and I think that's where we're here.
Well, at the root of it was the city issue.
Well, and I say that to make sure our current staff understands that we're not harboring the mistakes of prior staff against them or anything to that effect.
Yeah, doesn't matter at this point. Okay. Thanks for finding
Any
it.
questions? Sure, yeah.
Priority is that, are you saying future staff reserves the right for their own mistakes?
We're not gonna go dismissing good people for small errors, but we are gonna ask that we learn from other people's mistakes and not repeat them.
It's just another SOP manual to write, correct? Just add to the list.
You can't write common sense into an SOP. I'm sorry. There's only so much you can do.
That requires reading it.
Yeah.
It's true. You would have to read it. That is correct. And that could be a challenge sometimes.
Well, if there's no other questions, do I hear a motion? I make a motion that we accept what they're asking for.
We need to take public.
Either all or part of it. Okay, any public comment?
One question, what percentage?
Come on up to it,
See
please.
the amount, what percentage of the amount versus the amount is the increase? Do you understand the question I'm
I
asking?
mean, well, the overage run was 25,851 and they're only asking us to pay just over 15,000.
60% roughly. Yeah.
So they're asking for an additional 60 roughly?
60% of the cost overrun.
Okay,
They're not even asking us to pay for the entire cost overrun, just 60%.
wow, that's really nice. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. And appreciate you cleaning up after someone else's thing. That's just something parents do and also city council does, it looks like. Thank you.
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's really important that everybody understand that the money that we deal with here is your money.
Yeah.
The city is just an effigy for this community as a whole. And we are elected representatives who you've chosen to be glorified volunteers to basically take all this information and do all this extra homework and make sure that we're doing the right thing. So, I think in this case, the entire community is thankful for Simpson and Simpson sticking with us and being fair.
I think given that it started with us, that we ought to make it good and meet their request. I'm not sure how that would be in the form of a motion, but just to have good continuing business relationships in the future, I think it's the right thing to do.
Motion to do the right thing.
You can move.
Yeah. I to approve staff recommendation.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. On to item 10, go to the order, Sean.
I also wanted to say that Harry thought 3rd of July was great. Thank you very much to Lisa and everybody involved in making that event what it was. I know the Lions Club put in a lot of time and we had a lot of volunteers from the community helping out with traffic control and stuff like that. So thank you to everybody who was involved in making the 3rd of July so great. Also, sorry to end it on a sad note, but I also wanted to offer my condolences to the Marson family. Ed has just passed away on July 4th. He was a pillar of this community and huge proponent of youth sports and taking care of the community and always did as a local business owner, always gave back. So definitely heartfelt condolences to the Marson family also for their loss. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, and Larry, I would add the same about Ed Marson. He was a good person and he was behind and literally leading the softball leagues that were so successful here for years and maintaining that field. And I think there was always a Labor Day softball tournament here. And I see that his memorial is going to be August 31st, which is an appropriate time. And, RIP Ed Marson. And also just regarding the July 3rd, it seems to me that what we saw was a lot of new volunteers, people that hadn't volunteered before, and people come out from behind trees when there are good things to do. And it seems like that's what happened, but thank you for the leadership. Carolyn.
All right, I got way more on good of the order than I did for our official committee reports. So it's been a busy 2 weeks in our community. First, I do want to thank both the Sierra Vista Center and the Colfax Baptist Church for stepping up when the community did ask for some cooling centers. Gary Howard with the church made that happen. And then Glenn Greenspan stayed after hours on his own time to open the community center. I'm sad to say that while the community asked for it, nobody used either one. So they have been closed at this point, and if you need a cooling center, because it is going to be a doozy tomorrow, the library is open and the county is happy to provide that for us. So I do want to actually thank both Carl and Ron for attending the 3rd of July. They were both out there and checking out our community and being a part of it. So I want to thank you guys for doing that. Saturday is our museum here in town. It is the Heritage Trail Museum Day. So if you have never checked out our museum over at the depot, Saturday is their big day as part of one of the Placer County museums, and definitely go give them a check out. They have really cool stuff in there. Kim will tell you the volunteers love to talk about all the things that are in there and how great it is. So if you have not been over there, do that. Sunday, as Amanda with the Chamber of Commerce said, is Big Boy Day. It is coming. We have lots of things in store. They have their vendors, they have bands. We are very blessed that all of our restaurants downtown have said they will open up on Sunday and early. They are not normally open. It is Meet on Cheeto's last day, so they will be open for us. The Wrecking Crew is going to be open that morning. Snapdragon's going to be open, and Main Street Pizza all said they would open. So while we have vendors over there, we will have our restaurants open as well to be able to support that. We will have some little ceremonies going on. I wanted to check who of the council is planning on coming on Sunday, so we know who wants to be involved in anything. So okay, Sean will be there. Larry, are you gonna make it on Sunday?
There.
All right,
I've signed up for a couple events.
you'll be there. Okay, and you're gonna be able to make it? Awesome. So where you've got a little things going on that, Ty Connors, his father-in-law worked with Southern Pacific for 35 years. His father-in-law is coming, and another one of the gentlemen as well that all worked out of the Colfax yard. So definitely find them, meet up with them. They'll have some good stories to be able to tell. And then there was something else I was supposed to bring up, Ron.
Some award with.
Yeah, so the Union Pacific is bringing up another one of our Train Town USA plaques, and I believe there's another plaque they're bringing, but we're hoping they will actually be able to present those to these 2 employees of Southern Pacific and Union Pacific. They'll receive it on our behalf and do some fun pictures, so we should be able to include them on that. And then there is in our ad hoc committees an emergency services ad hoc, and I think it's Trinity and Shauna who are on that. So with, Ron and I actually met with the Sierra Vista Center yesterday. We were talking about the cooling center. I would like to request if you guys can add to your lives, maybe getting together, and we need to look at setting up actual procedures for emergencies. It looks like there's been some handshake back deals and people assume people would do this and things that happened in the past. We need to get them written on paper as to who's responsible for what, who needs to call who between the city or, obviously Sierra Vista is one of the places we use a lot in emergencies. So if you guys want to do it or you want to change who's on that committee, that's up to you guys. But I would request that we get some of these things done, written down and lined out and everybody in agreement. So we don't have questions.
We have an emergency response plan, but it could be worked on.
Yeah, if we can pull it out, revisit it, get it very, very specific as who needs to be responsible for what as much as we can, it would make it a lot easier. So.
Yeah.
We gotta make sure we don't have a meeting on Sunday when 3 of us are in the same place at the same time.
Do we have to notify this as Sundays if we're all gonna be there at the same time?
We're just not allowed to talk to each other.
As long as you make sure not to talk about council business and decisions, you'll be okay.
Okay. We do our best never to do that. All right, that was my long list. Thank you very much.
You're trying to do that.
I'm upset with nothing.
I can beat that. Larry mentioned about having softball games or something, but that highlights the point that every time Colfax has an event, it's a success. We need to have more. Sir Optimist used to do Cinco de Mayo. That was a big success. So when the weather's nice, we should have events every couple of weeks. They're a success. It gets people in here.
Unless you're running them.
Well, I run one of them.
Okay, you run the next one.
Go forward.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's my good of the order that when we have events, they're a success. Let's keep the momentum going.
As I've told multiple people who've mentioned lots of great events they'd like to see, like the Soapbox Derby on the 3rd. Fantastic. Events require three things. Somebody with the idea in the organization to make it happen,
A
a
champion.
crew to make it happen, and money. Go find yourself. You find those three things, you can do lots of things.
Correct. City manager, do you have anything good of the order?
Nothing to add, except for I'd like to see Harry after the meeting to talk about the three recipients of the checks.
So now item 10A, public comment on the good of the order.
Well, I have to say concerning Ed Morrison, known him for 33 years. My husband bought pants from him for 33 years until he closed down. It is sad. Our hearts go out to his family. That was glad he went out with fireworks, though. That was Ed Morrison right there. Fantastic man, sad for his family. Like to see, you know, more, maybe a memorial type. Something for him.
And to
Yeah.
clarify, there is a memorial scheduled at the ballpark on August 31st. I
Okay.
believe it's to start at 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. It's casual attire, but it will be in the afternoon at the ballpark on August
Okay.
31st.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Any other comment on the good of the order? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'd just like to suggest that we close the meeting in memory of Ed Morris.
I will make that motion.
Second, all those in favor, abstain?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's ended, 7/11, July 10th, 2024.
Eat the cookies. I'm not taking them home.